Welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast, dedicated to highlighting the good right here in Marionville, Missouri. You know, small towns are known for their long history and their deep roots. The Smart family has been a part of Marionville for a very long time. Smart Insurance was founded in 1958 and has been downtown on Washington Street the whole time. The building decor and the faces may have changed over the years, but the strong commitment to family and community has been there since the very beginning. Our guest today is Lauren Smart Layman, third generation Smart at Smart Insurance. Lauren, welcome to the Good Place Marionville podcast.
Thanks for having me. So glad to be here.
Well, I'm so glad to have you and returning. You know, we've had you on the show many before, but we are excited to have you here. And I just want you to remind everybody about your family and where you live.
Yeah, so I am Lauren Smart originally. I'm the oldest daughter of Randy and Gail. Jim and Carol Smart are my grandparents. And so born and raised here in Marionville, 13-year senior in the schools, and have really stayed connected to the town and the community through our business. I am married to my husband, Nick, who also works at Smart Insurance. We actually live in Republic with our two girls, Elise, who's 14, and Nora, who's 11. We settled in Republic just because originally that was halfway between where I worked and where Nick worked, and then we kind of built community there. So we're kind of dual residents a little bit, claiming the Tigers and the Comets.
Yes.
But it's been it's really good, really exciting times.
Awesome. Alrighty, so we're going to get into some of that exciting stuff in a little bit. So give us a little more history. How long have you and Nick worked at the insurance agency?
So I always say that I was born there. Yeah. I don't remember Smart Insurance not existing since my grandparents were there. I started, cleaning, dusting when I was in high school, then worked summers just doing some of those mundane office tasks. And then I came on full-time in 2006 when I graduated from college. Mm-hmm. And then Nick joined in the fall of 2011 when we were pregnant with our oldest. And then when I came back from maternity leave, I transitioned to part-time so I could kind of do the dual stay-at-home mom, working mom thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of stayed that routine ever since 2011. So
awesome.
He's been there almost 15 years, and I've been there forever. So
lifelong employee.
That's right.
That's possible. Right. That's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about this past week because it's been pretty monumental for your family and for the agency. So tell us what's happened.
Yeah, so my mom and dad retired officially. If you were actually at Smart Insurance, you'd be like, wait, Gail didn't work there. False. Yes, she didn't work in the office, but we don't talk about one without talking about the other.
Yes.
And so they officially passed over the reins to Nick and I. And it was just really fun celebrating their legacy and what they had continued that my grandparents had built so many years ago. But then also, celebrating Nick and I in this new chapter and, how the community, it has just been really receptive to that. So it was very exciting times, but a huge change. My dad and my mom have been the sole owners since 1992.
Wow.
And so, for Nick and I to be the buck stops here.
That's right.
That's it. We're at the top now. So it's exciting.
We're
looking forward to it.
So you guys are now the owners of the agency. And I'm sure with that, there's going to be a lot of, I know, paperwork, all that kind of stuff behind the scenes nobody's ever going to see. But, so much about the agency is what people know and love, and that will continue. Do you want to speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents have retired, but everything else is staying the same. We're staying in the same place. We're not changing the name. We're not changing the logo. All of our other staff, Delma, Kay, Cheyenne, everybody that you know and love is still there. I was actually adding it up for something else I was doing. And between Delma, Kay, Cheyenne, Nick, and I, we have over 100 years combined of insurance experience.
Wow.
We always laugh that Delma's been there for 39 years. Kay has come in and out for practically as long. And then Cheyenne, our newest employee, she's been there, I think, for 12 years now.
Wow.
And so it's funny that our, newest employee has been there for so long. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're a family and nothing else is changing. So you can still, yeah, count on that same high level of service. It's still
Is there an
humans.
official dog mascot now?
Oh, well, yes. Poppy is still there. I think she's in a little bit of mourning because uh, Grandpa definitely treated her just like he does any other grandkid, and he was where to find the treats.
That's
So
awesome.
we're gonna have to find a new solution for that.
So I was also thinking about the fact that, it may be that at some point in time something changes, but that may have already going to happen anyway.
Correct.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we change logos or we change colors or we change whatever. And, maybe your Christmas card's going to look a little
Yeah.
different or whatever. But, I think that the longevity and
Yeah.
the continuity of your family's impact in the agency, that is really what I hear you saying is, that
Absolutely.
is not changing. And you guys have had a lot of time for people to get to know you
Yes.
and what you impact here in the community, even outside of the insurance. Actual policies
Yeah.
and things like that is huge.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
and
So,
none of that's going anywhere. We had somebody stop by yesterday, and it was just the same old. And so that's what we really want people to hear,
mhm.
is that everything's remaining the same. We're still dedicated to our community, dedicated to our clients, dedicated to the families that are right here. And, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
that's going to remain the same. And we're excited to yeah, just continue that level of support that you've always known with, the people that you know in that building. And so, yeah, it's a fun time for all of us.
So last week you had the open house to celebrate the passing of that baton and very symbolic, a lot of things
Yeah.
happening in that. But what was it amazing for you to see the community that came out to support you and your parents?
It really was. And it's funny because when we first started talking about like with a hard date of when the transition would happen, we probably started talking about that about 15 to 18 months ago.
Hmm.
And originally, my dad really didn't want anything. Like he didn't want us. Like he just wanted to. They wanted to just sail off into the sunset.
Kind of
They
disappear.
just wanted to disappear. And I think that was double edged a little bit. Part of that was he didn't. He just wanted to like walk away, and to not be the center of attention. But also, along what we were just talking about, he really wanted the focus to be on the fact that nothing was changing.
Yeah.
He didn't want there to be any question that things were just going to continue. And so he was just kind of fade out and we were just going to fade in. But my mom and I weren't going to stand for that. And so
Excuse for a good party.
that's right. And, I think looking back on it now, we really would have been doing a disservice to our business partners and to the community to not give them the opportunity to
Mm.
say goodbye or to give their well wishes. And it's not goodbye. He's still going to have all those same connections, but just the opportunity for people to come and celebrate his legacy, but then also celebrate the future and what it's going to look like. Because all those people have those same connections with Nick and I as well. And so just to recognize that, I think it was really important and just an important milestone, an important step in the process.
Well, you did a great job. That's
Thank
always, I know that is a forte of yours. You're really
Well,
good at that and with your mom. And it was fun to see other people. And I met, people that I had not met yet in your family. And it was just a great opportunity to, again, like you said, congratulate and all of that. So
yeah.
thank you for hosting it. Thank you for inviting people. And I'm excited about that. So I was thinking about, when I first reached out to you about doing an interview, we were going to talk about the hailstorm
Oh, the hail.
and all the claims and
Yeah.
everything that happened at, what was the date?
April 28th.
Okay, I know
It will
I-
live in infamy.
I knew that it would.
There are other dates
Yeah.
that will live in infamy as well. And so that was just added. That's just added to the list of
Yes.
those that we'll always remember.
Yes. So, how is your office doing in the midst of all of that craziness
Yeah.
with the claims?
So things, I want to say they've calmed down. It's still constant, but
Mhm.
it's not frantic. It was real frantic whenever it first hit and the power goes out and we don't have power and we're trying to help people and we're just trying to, get that process started. Nick and I had a conversation that typically in a week we might have 2 to 3 claim conversations
Mm-hmm.
across the entire agency, like between all of the people in the building.
Right.
For a while there, and even this has slowed down a little bit, but even now we're having 5 or 6 conversations a day
Mm-hmm.
per employee. And
Yeah.
so, and those are complicated conversations. I think one of my hesitations to even talk about it is just that insurance kind of used to be boilerplate. It used to be very standard. There were standard coverages, there were standard things that were included in everybody's policy. Deductibles were the same. That is not the case
No.
anymore. And every single individual situation is different in some way.
Yep.
And so I think that's been the most difficult part is
Mm-hmm.
just that every conversation is the same but different.
Yeah.
And so we're really having to be insurance advisors
Mm-hmm.
instead of just insurance salespeople, which is what we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be those people that are knowledgeable and are able to walk, with our clients through that process. But yeah, we're starting to get our heads above water a little bit and just, walk through that claims process with our clients, which is why, not to pat ourselves on the back, but is why insurance agents are so valuable, is just
Yes.
because we do this on a regular basis, maybe not to this magnitude, but we do this on a regular basis. And so we kind of know how to, help our clients walk through that.
We had visitors in town recently, and I was pointing out cars that had the taped up
Yeah.
plastic on the back windows and everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is why. What you're
Yes.
seeing is
Yep.
either they can't, they either didn't have coverage
Yeah.
or they're waiting on the glass
Yeah.
or they're in line in the queue to get something
Yeah.
replaced. But I mean, you're seeing that all over when you
Oh, for
drive
sure.
around Springfield right now and surrounding areas. So, is there anything high level, not specific, that you can say to the listeners just to help them as they're navigating, whether you're their agent
Sure.
or somebody else, just like maybe a word of encouragement or wisdom?
Yeah. So obviously, number one is just patience.
Yeah.
Just have some patience. We had a company in our office yesterday, and I think that one company in this one area had 15,000 claims
Mm.
that came in within, about a 12 to like 24-hour period. And so just the sheer magnitude at once, like, yes, they're prepared to handle claims. They're just not necessarily prepared to handle it in that way. And so, if I was really going to dive in deep to something that we even had to, we had to walk a customer through yesterday, specifically with auto claims. If you had an outside adjuster that was not employed by the company, which most all of you did, those estimates are coming in very low compared to what a body shop might be offering. And so we just want to we're advising our clients. We want to tell you, whoever you are, whoever you're insured with, don't panic.
Mhm.
Body shops and insurance companies deal with this all the time. Those third-party adjusters came out. There's a lot of inside reasons why that the estimates are what they are, but in the end, a claim has been started. Your adjuster that actually works for the company, so the desk adjuster and the body shop, it will all work out in the end. So don't panic if you got an insurance estimate for 5,000, but yet Lackey's or Hudson's or Kirk's or whoever is telling you it's going to be $15,000 to repair your vehicle.
Mm.
Don't panic. That will all come out in the wash. I don't want to say I promise, but like we're
Right.
seeing it happen. They're used to that. It's just part of the process at this point since they had to bring out so many third party adjusters.
Mm.
So our other thing is just don't hesitate to reach out to your agent. Yes, things are crazy in our office, but that's also why that's why insurance exists, is
Right.
for claims and for situations like this. We know what we're doing. We're happy to have those conversations. So if you're frustrated, or before you get frustrated, even if you're just like wondering, please call us.
Mhm.
But then also, practice that patience as well, once we are able to kind of talk you through the process. So,
Right.
thankfully in this situation, there wasn't the significant loss of property, as there could have been with our tornado or, lots of other situations. And so these are all serious inconveniences for people. We don't want to minimize that. However, thankfully, there wasn't the loss of life and,
Yeah.
all of that could have happened. And so it's annoying. We will not, discount the fact that it's annoying and frustrating and hard. But yeah, we're all just kind of walking through it together. And
Hmm.
I guess the only other thing is if this wasn't, like if you weren't specifically impacted by this claim, the insurance industry has made lots of changes in the past 3 to 5 years. And there's just not a way for agents to communicate with every single customer when those changes happen, just because they're pretty constant and it's just always happening. And insurance companies are capable and able to do that. And so make sure that you read your policy, specifically how cars or your glass or your roof is, valued, or what the deductibles are. Like,
Hmm.
open your policy
Yeah.
and look at that. If you cannot find it, if you are looking at this page and it looks like a foreign language, that's when you call your agent. You need to just flat out say, I don't understand. Please, tell me what my deductible
Right.
is. We don't want there to be surprises. Those are some of the hardest conversations that we're having right now, is just surprises at claim time, just because there have been some adjustments in the industry, and it's industry wide, that have kind of caught people off guard. And
Yeah.
we don't want that to be you.
I know that a lot of people, like you said, opening the policy is a great place to start.
Yes.
I spoke with somebody who didn't realize she'd paid off her car. She's been driving it
Right.
around and she never took full coverage off. Well,
Yep.
in her case, this ended up being a positive because she had a lot of damage and can walk through that.
Yeah.
But she was even surprised. Oh, I still have full coverage
Right.
on this vehicle,
Right.
And so it's interesting because we do need to, some of those things that are intimidating
Right.
we tend to put aside
Yeah.
or just assume it's okay or whatever. How do you guys as an agency make insurance more approachable for people? Because it is a foreign language
Yeah,
in a
it
lot of
is.
ways. It's legalese and
Yeah.
things like that.
And, I take that for granted. It's funny.
Hmm.
Even in high school or college, people would talk about, like, I don't know what a deductible is. And again, I grew up sitting in the chairs at the front of our office. So, like, all of that terminology is literally just part of who I am.
Right.
But it's not for so many people, and it shouldn't really be. Like, that's not, a natural thing that we just go around talking about insurance deductibles and replacement cost and actual cash value and, all these things. And so I think our goal, I said it earlier, is just we want to be able to advise people on insurance. And we are happy to do that, whether you're our customer or not. Obviously, we want to have those conversations with our clients, but we are happy to sit down and help you review your policies. We can, provide you with new quotes if that's what you're looking for. We're not going to understand the verbiage, obviously, if it's not a company that we represent, but we're happy to kind of help, navigate that. In that way, we are 5 real people sitting in real desks at a real office in downtown Marionville. We've been in that same exact building, structurally, since 1958. And so we really just want people to know that they can come and talk to us. We try not to rush through those conversations.
Hmm.
We try to have those kind and respectful, productive conversations so that you really do. I mean, insurance is maybe one of the most expensive things that you spend money on each year. And it's also one of the most important, because if you don't understand what you're paying for,
Hmm.
it can have serious implications. In that case, a very positive one, possibly. But yeah, those are just simple things. And if you're paying that much money for something, you really need to know what you're buying. And
Yeah.
so if you don't understand it, please, please, please contact us.
Hmm.
And we would love to be your agent. And if we already are, that is our job. Like,
Yeah.
it is our job to sit down with you and explain to you what you have purchased and how it works. And in the hard times, because that's what you have insurance for,
Right.
is for those
You hope
those
you never
difficult
need
times.
it, but
Right.
you're glad you have it when you do need it. And
It's one of those necessary evils. People hate insurance. I hate it too. Like, I wish I didn't have to pay for it, but I'm thankful in the times that I do need it, that
yeah.
it's there.
Exactly.
So
Well, thank you for explaining all of
yeah,
that. So, Lauren, in addition to running the agency, being a mom, a daughter, a sister, and a friend, you are also this on the school board for the school district or what of Republic,
yeah,
right?
yes.
So, tell us about that role and what your favorite part is, just to give us a little glimpse into what else you have going
I
on.
wear a lot of hats,
Yes,
don't
you do.
I? Yeah, so I have been, this is, I guess I'm in the middle of my 3rd year. So at the end of my first term, term, basically, of being on the school board. And it's just been, our girls, like I said, they're 14 and 11. They've been in Republic the entire time. They've gone to school. And, I know so many families have that situation with whatever school district they're in. They spend a lot of time there. And so when I was approached about considering taking on that role and running for the empty seat, it was just one of those things that I didn't have a real good reason to say no. And I have always just loved to advocate for our girls and advocate for the staff. And so, we hear a lot of bad stuff that happens in public schools because, that's just human nature.
Right.
We give the bad reviews to the restaurant. We give, the negative things that happen. But there's so much positive that's happening in public schools. And so I love being kind of on the inside of that to be able to see and to be able then to be that public voice when people are like, well, this is what I heard. And I'm able to, speak some truth into that.
Sure.
And just talk about the amazing successes, whether that's on a very small level with, a kindergartner who's able to, jump to where, jump and get to their reading level where they're supposed to be, or if it's on like a bigger scale with like real world learning opportunities, similar to like the Marionville FFA and their greenhouse. Republic has those opportunities for students to get that real world experience. Right. And so it's just exciting to see that next generation and to cheer them on and to cheer the staff and the administrators on who are, guiding those kids because they need encouragement. They deal with a lot of yucky. Yeah. And we hear a lot of yucky too on the board. Every board does. That's part of our job.
Sure.
But I've been really intentional about not losing sight of all the positive, even in the midst of some of the yucky that we have to deal with. So
such a good perspective. And thank you for serving in that way and giving back. And I think it's important for each one of us to look at how we can do that when the opportunities arise. Okay. So lastly, Smart Insurance has a lot of community endeavors. And because this is a Good Place Marionville podcast, we want to celebrate some of that good.
Yeah.
So tell us about a few of the endeavors that are going on right now.
Yeah. So as far as like large scale with our office, it's pretty minimal, just because we've been, working through the
other things going on.
We've been working through that ownership transition, but I think a lot of what we are doing is just those little things kind of behind the scenes, whether it's helping the football team get ready for the fall or the band with their upcoming, programs. We talked with the high school girls basketball coach yesterday and just different ways that we can support them and help them. And I know that, our business isn't the only one that's doing those kinds of things. But as far as our large scale stuff, it's kind of slow right now, which I'm okay with. That's a little bit intentional. We're really excited about the patriotic picnic that's coming up. Yeah. I hope that, the community comes out and supports that. I know the committee's worked really hard to support that. And, we still have our Smart Supports program that is always ongoing. That's definitely one of those. That was kind of my baby that I helped to spearhead. And we've been doing that for 10 years now, which is crazy. And I just love supporting those local nonprofit organizations through our referral program. And so just to give a little bit of background on that, anytime a referral comes into our office, whether we write the policy or not, we make a donation to our Spotlight Charity of the Quarter. So it's been Care to Learn. It's been the Marionville Library. Right now, it's the Ronald McDonald House of the Ozarks, just because we have some history with them. Mm-hmm. And so it's been Camp Barnabas and just so many local organizations that we try to bring awareness to and to support. And, our dollars are minimal, compared to what they need, but it all adds up so quickly. And so that's kind of our goal, is to bring awareness to them.
And you do a great job of that. And encouraging each one of us to also get involved. Yeah. So before we run out of time, and we have a lot of news to cover, is there anything that I've missed that you wanted to make sure that you highlighted or said to the community while you have this opportunity?
Yeah, we're just so grateful to be a part of this community. We would not be what we are today without just people trusting us and allowing us to take care and to really protect the things that matter most. I know that sounds really cliche, but we're just so grateful that the community has always supported who we are, and we're able to give back in that way. And so pop by and see us. We had a lot of people that come in. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you'd remodeled the office." And that's been a couple of years ago
Yep.
now. But
Yep.
please come by and say hi, introduce yourselves. We'd be happy to say hello. Nick and I will be around, and if you're there on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you'll get to see Poppy, the director of customer happiness as well. So,
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Lauren. And as everybody could imagine, when Lauren is on, we're going to go a little longer with the
yeah,
episode. There's a lot to cover, and I am so grateful for that. And we're grateful for Smart Insurance. We're happy for the transition that is happening, and just excited for where God's going to take you in this
yeah.
next season. So, this episode of the Good Place Marionville podcast is specially sponsored by Smart Insurance. I will put their website in the show notes for everyone. Smart Insurance Agency is proud to continue serving their community as a third generation local insurance agency. With the same trusted team their clients know and rely on, and more than 100 years of combined insurance experience, they continue helping families and businesses protect what matters most with auto, home, farm, business, life, and Medicare insurance solutions. After more than 15 years as part of the Smart Insurance Agency team, Nick and Lauren are proud to continue the agency's longstanding commitment to personal service and local relationships. Same hometown values, same familiar faces, just a new generation continuing the commitment to their community. Thank you, Smart Insurance and Lauren and Nick. That's so great. We also want to thank the Bank of Billings and visit marionville.com for their ongoing sponsorship of this podcast. And I'm going to list some things, some really good things that are coming up, but I want to highlight that those items and their details are on the calendar at visitmarionville.com. So be sure to check that calendar, see what's going on, things your family can get involved in, because I'm going to kind of do a rapid fire listing here of all the things coming up. Today, the Marionville Thrift Store is actually having their yard sale until 3 o'clock. So if I can get this podcast out in the next hour or so, you might learn that information and head on over there before they close the doors right there at the corner of College and Lion. And the sale is inside and outside. They said there's going to be a lot of furniture, so there might be some end of the day deals when you get there. Also today, Thursday evenings, is when the farmers market is happening at Alice Irene's every Thursday from now until the fall from 3 to 7. So I hope they have good weather this afternoon because the last couple weeks have been a little iffy. I'm excited for all that they have that they're offering. June 12th, the Comet Volleyball is hosting a tournament at both schools, and there's going to be 5 different food trucks in town. So even if you're not going to the tournament, it's a great way to support the process and help the teams by going and getting some food. At the high school, it's going to be Bama Man Barbecue, Lemmy Boba, and Clean Plate Truck. That's easy for me to say. And at the middle school, Blessed and Bubbly and Incredible Edible Catering. June 13th, the City Morgue Zombie Bar and Grill is having live music from 7 to 11, and there's no cover charge. And remember, their food is great. So it's wonderful to go and support the local businesses. June 18th is the Hot Rods and Hot Dogs Father's Day Car Show at the Ozark Methodist Manor. June 23rd is a ladies pickleball boot camp, and there's still a few spots left with that. And of course, we've talked many times, and Lauren, you just talked about the 250th birthday celebration at the city park on June 27th. It's beginning at 4 o'clock. However, the new news is that there's a hometown softball classic that's going to be a free community softball event starting that morning at the park. And as of just a few hours ago, there are still 7 spots open for people that want to play. There will be 4 teams formed, 2 games played. The teams will be assigned randomly, just a fun time. And if you're not going to be a player, come out and support them. And I'm sure it's going to be entertaining.
I'm sure.
At the least, it will be entertaining. And we'll hopefully have some EMTs on site as well. That's where my mind goes.
Absolutely.
It's been a while since I played softball.
That's right.
But the goal isn't serious competition. It's bringing people together, meeting new people, and creating a fun atmosphere for the whole community. Spectators are encouraged to come out, grab a chair, cheer people on, and enjoy a great summer day as the ball fields before the picnic begins. And then we remember there's the fireworks at dark. So I'll put the link to the sign up form out there. Hopefully, as long as it's up, that means there's still room. But the game times are tentatively going to be starting at 9 and finished by 1. All right. That was a lot,
It
but it's
was.
all really good news.
Yes.
Oh, and I do want to also highlight a couple of other things. The community White Squirrel Garden has water. The city employees helped get that done. So Amber and her volunteers are thrilled. They're not having to haul it from the creek all the time right now, anyway. And produce is starting to appear on the plants. So it's going to be on its way soon. And, I just wanted to also highlight that the City Hall food pantry box has gotten filled up again in the last week or so. And it's just great to see people frequenting it, both as givers and receivers. And I imagine that, this fill up is not going to last long. So keep checking it, keep helping out, make it a project for you and your family to maybe pick up 5 items at the grocery store when you go that you can put in there and continue to help those that are in a time of need. All of these events, especially if they are businesses that are listed on Visit Marionville, but we are trying to get community events on the calendar as well. Go to visitmarionville.com. I'll put the link to the community calendar out there so you can get the details that get you to where you need to sign up, what the action plan is, because I know that's a lot to pick up at any one time. But Lauren, it's so great to see the community involved in so many
Yeah.
different things. The upcoming picnic, I think, is going to be a
Yeah.
great time for us all to rub shoulders together and hopefully not be too sweaty, but
Hopefully not.
it'll be what
Maybe.
it will be what it will be.
That's right.
But thank you to everybody who submitted news. Lauren, thank you to you and Nick and your support of this podcast
Yeah.
through Smart Insurance. Also, thank you to the Bank of Billings and visitmarionville.com for sponsoring today's podcast. If you want to be a sponsor or know some good news that you want to share, you can email us at goodplacemarionville@hotmail.com. Share this podcast with a friend and remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when each episode releases. Thank you for joining us for the Good Place Marionville podcast. Keep your eyes out for the good, and together we can celebrate Marionville.